Here's the reason I have the path to your best life. And I do know that I have that. If you're a human person, then I've been given the path to your best life. I didn't always trust that or believe that, but today, on April the 24th of 2026, I know that that is true. And I know that you're supposed to have that best life because that's why you were born. You were born with something you were meant to bring to the world that would cause you to evolve and live a great life and flourish and become abundant and fall in love with yourself and give something to others. That's what we're all meant to do, but we would do it in different ways, and not everyone will. That's just the reality of life. And sometimes we will struggle to get to that place of self acceptance. But then you also will discover that there was a reason for that as well. Because nothing was ever accidental. You never did anything wrong. You never missed anything. You just decide when you're going to stop and accept yourself and your particular mission. And for me, today is that day. And I'm 75 years old. And I'm going to tell you why I have that path to your best life. I went through many difficulties early in my life, as we all do. I struggled with so much, and most of my life I thought something was wrong with me. That was probably the biggest thing that stayed with me most of my life. Something is just not quite right. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And like you, I went everywhere to try to find out. I took courses. I went to mentors. I went to therapists. I did every imaginable thing possible to find that place to understand who I was supposed to be, what my life was supposed to become, and why was it such a struggle. And then you discover most of the time it's a struggle because we're not willing to accept ourselves. We're not willing to move into that next unknown part of who we could become. But as humans, that's what we're each meant to do. We're not supposed to stay in the same place. But moving out of that comfort zone of who you have been is challenging, as it was for me. And the reason it was challenging because I had a completely different career before I discovered that I had the path to your best life. You see, I was being a vocal coach. I'd done many other things before that career also, but I couldn't understand why I was making that career so successful and why the people that I worked with, the artists that I was working with, why did they become famous? Why did they become people that we all know today? And I thought when I began, I was a nobody and I couldn't have possibly understood this. But there's something that you discover is far more important, and that's your consciousness. And that's that intuition. That's something within you that gets developed over time, and just depends on if you're going to listen to it or believe it. And what I started doing at the same time I started doing vocal coaching, around the same time I started doing automatic writing. And I began that like we all do when you're searching for something. I wanted help. I wanted to know what my life was about. And why was the first part such a mess? Why did I go through all of that? And then it started being revealed. It frightened me at first. When I first received the first messages, because I knew I had connected to a greater intelligence and wisdom that I didn't understand. But I kept going with it. And I kept writing every single day. Again, 37 years. But I wasn't going to show it to people yet because I didn't know what it was doing. Even though I was creating things with it, I was doing all sorts of things. I even wrote a book using some of it, Overcoming Fear, A Guide to Freedom, because that's how I got over it. That's how I started to move through it. And we'll always have some because the next version of who you're going to become, there'll be fear there before you take that next step. And I've done it so many times. But then again, you might judge yourself because you've been told you're not right, you're not the person you're supposed to be, all of those things. That's part of our process. And the message last year on this date said, no one has been you and no one has done this. That's what came through on last year. And then there's also a video there where I was explaining what was happening and why I knew I had the path to your best life, but I didn't put it out there fully. You'll see there's probably like a dozen people who have seen that video. But now I can tell you for sure because I have the evidence and I have the proof because I always wanted the proof. You'll hear that in some of the information and channeling sessions that I began doing as well, where more information would come through. We are all consciousness. And consciousness is how we navigate our lives, how we experience ourselves, how we experience our world, and we change it all the time. We change it individually, but we also change it as a collective society and civilization. And I've seen so much of it. At my age, I've seen changes that have gone on. But the thing that I could not have told you was that I was going to be a person, the person who, that's how it felt to me, that was going to bring in this philosophy that could change your life and our world. And I doubted that. I kept denying that it was happening, even when it was being shown to me. So you have resistance. We all do. But then there comes a time where you decide that you really have to become yourself, because that's the beauty of why you were born. That I do know. And I will tell you this because I want you to understand why I am changing today, because I developed an extraordinary gift that I was ignoring, as you might have done, but I hid from it and I didn't want to do it because I didn't understand it. When I'm going through all of my life, receiving guidance, receiving information, even from a young age, that I couldn't explain. And then things started being revealed, as will happen for you. Then I discovered I had ADHD. Now that gave me the ability to access different information, and we know many people who have developed great works and things because of that particular condition, as we might think of it. But then it was revealed something else, because I couldn't understand why I had this information and why I knew the order of the universe and why I knew the order of your life, because you're in there. Every single person is. We're all connected. But that's what I was supposed to bring to the world, that greater understanding that every person has worth and value. And see, the way that I did that is I discovered I was a savant. And I spent days, weeks actually trying to figure out and accept what that meant. And then they began telling me, I'm talking about the research I was doing, showing me that very few people would have ever done this or had this. And it's a form of genius where you could access and compile information and interpret it to give it to others so that they understand it. And that's what I've done. I knew I was doing it with I was doing my vocal coaching. That was something I could see, and it was different. But then this changed everything, because in 2021 is when I decided I have to try this and see what it's going to do for others. And that blew me away as well. And because they shifted, they started transforming, they started to understand themselves, they started to create better careers, better relationships, all of that, because they got in touch with who they were. The same thing I discovered when I first started with my vocal clients: disconnection from the self. And that's what I was doing as well. But I had to, because I couldn't have brought through this work. I couldn't have lived this life, showed the healing that it can bring with this information, and demonstrate what can happen when you decide to accept yourself. And today I'm doing that, and I'm inviting others to do the same thing. Now, my work is going to be around forever. You'll see that, because now it's my legacy, what I'm leaving with the world. We don't live forever, so we have to consider that at some point. And now I can say that I'm leaving something with the world that gives more people the ability to live great lives, to evolve, to have abundance, and pass that on to others, and greater intelligence. That's what this work will do. And I spent this past year actually verifying and going over, and you'll see a lot of that, because before I do anything, and you'll hear that in the channeling session from 4 years ago, actually, before I do offer anything, I need to know that it works. And you'll hear in the video from last year, I was told many years ago I should have been charging at least $5,000 for this work, because I see people doing things all the time that's not giving them the results that they want. It's not giving them clarity. It's not giving them empowerment. It's not giving them life mastery. It's not giving them a sense of confidence where they can go out and do what they are destined to do in this world. But this work does that. And that's been shown too. And you'll hear that in the testimonials, which I'm so grateful for. And so my horrible, difficult life, which is how it felt earlier on, has turned into this brilliant piece of art that I can give to you, that you will use and then create something wonderful to give to others. That's how we all evolve. But it'll be different for each one of us. But we have to decide that we're going to accept our uniqueness, our differences, and you'll see that in the messages that I compiled for these few days. The 22nd, the 23rd, 24th, 25th, all of them over time, because this turned out to be a quantum philosophy. And you'll see that in the messages. Quantum means that I'm accessing intelligence that has always existed. We just get it at different times, but we have mental abilities and qualities where we can do that. I just developed one that was quite different, which is why I said a few weeks ago I was not like the other channelers. I wasn't doing that work. I was devising an architecture to show you how consciousness changes over time, how human consciousness evolves over time. That's what my life was documenting and also demonstrating through the healing that occurs, because that's what our world needed. Our world wanted healing. It wanted coming together. And that first happens within each individual. And first, that's me, then it's you. It's all of us. And that's what this work will do. So this is why I do have the path to your best life. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how old you are or what you might have done or not done in the past, because the only thing that's happening is in the present moment. And that's where we begin to operate from. And you'll see that that is the higher level of consciousness, or what some people are looking for, the fifth dimension, that other realm. That's where this work will lead you and will lead all of us if more people do it. But you can't expect others to do it for you. You will have to make that choice and decide that you're going to accept your best life. And for me now, it's going to be completing this work and working with people closely who want to become brilliant, who want to become their best selves. And that gives me the greatest joy ever, is to watch it happen. And that's what I'm seeing with the people who have recently joined this program. And they have given me so much more belief and courage, because we all want that, especially when you're creating something new that no one has seen. What's it going to do? Now I know what it's going to do. It's causing people to become great. It'll cause you to do the same thing. And that's why I'm putting this out there. And I hope more of you take advantage of the offer that's there now through tonight, through midnight, because after that it's changing. And I will listen to others, because other marketers and people who told me I should have been charging so much more. So I will go to that. But then also my private sessions will be changing as well. And the reason they're changing is because I do so much more for you during a private session than any other person. Because I'm doing research on who you are, your energetic blueprint, what has happened in your life, and what the particular difficulty that you might be experiencing now, because that answer has been given. And the other fun thing I will give you, because I have been given more information than any human could possibly ingest, 37 years, but you can have fun with it. In the meantime, you can go to the site anyadvicefortoday.com and just search for something that you want to know about yourself, or some difficulty or challenge or some information, and watch how much comes up. What I'm doing now is organizing it all so it becomes useful, because so we can integrate it, and so it becomes a part of who you become, so that you achieve greatness in your life, because that is why you were born, and that will be your best life. Thank you so much for being here. Please share this with others, because I do want as many people as possible to know what is available for them now, and why none of us have to suffer anymore. I put that out earlier, and I know that that is true. None of us have to suffer, because the answers have been given, because they're within you. What I did was devise a way for you to find them. All right. I'll see you guys soon.